Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode. It is your girl, Lola, without the H. I am joined again this week by the lovely Mr.
Hello.
And you are listening to This Black Girls Podcast. You can find us and make sure to follow us on Instagram at This Black Girl Podcast and This Black Girl P on Twitter, because you already know I ain't calling it what it's supposed to be. It's gonna stay Twitter forever. And we're also on YouTube. So if you have YouTube, you got that YouTube Premium, you don't want the ad free and whatnot, we're there too. But with that being said, let's jump into this week's episode. So we've been experiencing a lot of interesting things in the past week or two. I can't even say sip. I've been guzzling the tea, okay? Guzzling, okay? Like
waterboarded by the tea.
actually, accurate, because it was against my will. Oh my God.
You're just like up against the wall and the tea is crashing up against you.
It's good. Hold on.
Yeah. The tea.
Accurate, okay? Oh my God. I don't even know where or / how to start. It might even have to be like a Patreon thing with how messy that is. But we're going to start with a small mess. We've been getting, I guess, rekindled, caught up with 90 Day The Last Resort. Because we're not like big 90 Day fans, but we enjoy it. I'd be a liar if I said I didn't enjoy the shit. The show is entertaining. It's interesting. I'm definitely not a fan of a couple people on that show. They're actually really horrible, but others I'm like, I'll give them a chance, see what's going on. Shout out to Kelly. Kelly's my favorite one. And I'm so sad that he left.
Yeah.
He's like... So the premise, if you don't watch TLC, which I'm proud of you, by the way. You're better than us.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't always watch because, let's be honest, it's kind of a hate watch.
I don't even want to say hate watch per se, but...
It depends on who's on.
100%. I really want to come back to see the next season with Emily and Kobe, because Emily's a mess.
Yeah.
But I like Kobe. But anyways, okay. 90 Day Last Resort is essentially an accumulation of different couples across different seasons and series of 90 Day Fiance coming to some kind of all-inclusive resort for a number of weeks with therapists to try to, quote-unquote, work out their relationships. So there's about, 6 or 8 couples? I can't remember.
I'm laughing to myself because it's a bunch of couples and Angela.
Oh my God. Yeah. Fair.
Because her husband doesn't get flown out. He always just shows up on
Well, because
Zoom.
Michael, as she loves to call him, does not have his visa. So he's not even in the country. He's showing up video call. Shout out to him for still making that participation. But
and
ugh.
Shout downs to the producers for not even having her be a couple and still putting her on the show.
Fair.
Angela sucks and is clearly an abuser. And
Accurate.
they're still putting her on the air
because
even when there's no excuse to.
Because they make her money, and it just shows you their priorities. Their priorities is to make money and to get the views, and they know that her mess gets views.
That's true.
It's just exploitive, and she likes being exploited.
That's true.
So it is what it is, unfortunately. But yeah, so there's a bunch of couples and Angela and her iPad husband at this resort for a number of, weeks, months, working with therapists to try and work on different aspects of their relationship, whether that is, communication, sex, compromise, all different types of things. So going into it, one of my, I guess, more favorite couples at the beginning, like literally just listing them off, was Kalani and Asuelu.
Mm-hmm.
So they are, well, I thought, they were a cute couple. I thought a little dense because of how they got together. Like, she literally got hooked up with like one of the guys on the resort and got pregnant and was like, oh, well, we're going to make this work. We love each other.
Oof, yeah.
And he seemed like, he definitely played the part of a less than average intelligence, strong himbo energy.
Yeah, and honestly, it kind of really, the plot really feels like that he was not necessarily manipulated, but definitely assisted by some members of his family in order to like kind of secure his position. And at some point, he turned away from them.
Right. That narrative for sure. For sure that he was like easily manipulated, easily swayed.
Yeah, they definitely like manipulated him to a certain extent, and then at some point, they kind of lost their handle on him, and then like he was a citizen,
caused problems like in their family relationships and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it usually ended up with like you rooting for the couple to, get past all of those family issues, family drama, choose each other, choose their family, get established, all of those great things. Right. So when I saw they were there, I was like, oh, okay, maybe they're having issues because of like the whole family drama still, and he's not stepping up maybe the way that they're supposed to. Boy, was I fucking wrong.
Goddamn.
Oh my God. Okay. So first and foremost, first of all, spoilers. If you intend on watching the show, full spoilers ahead. I don't care. This is your warning. 7 minutes in. Okay. So if you're listening to this, any time after 7 minutes and like 15 seconds, you have been warned. Everything's on you. You can't say nothing to me.
You're officially going over the trenches into the minefield. Okay. Absolutely. No man's land. No man's land.
Okay. So I was so fucking wrong about this couple. So it came out that Asuelu cheated on Kalani. And it was, the way it came out was so fucking gross, okay?
Oh my gosh, weird. So weird and messy.
Yeah, so like, it turns out that like he was away for something and he was with friends at a bar, and then some girl approached him for like a blowjob, and apparently he took it, but then he was like communicating with her, like Kalani, his wife, a while afterwards. I don't know if it was a day or two or whatnot, but apparently he had fucking thrush on his tongue, which is like a yeast. Okay, for people who don't know thrush, it's a fucking yeast infection. The only way a person can get usually yeast infections. I'm sorry, you're eating.
No, it's fine.
In your mouth is, if you're yamming out the pum. Okay?
That's got to be transferred.
Exactly. And so, like, if you were approached for a blowjob, how the fuck do you have pum yeast in your mouth?
Yeah.
That, like, so it came out, like, not clear, but clear that he cheated on her.
Right.
And it definitely, like, made her feel, less than worthy, made her feel unvalued, made her feel disrespected. Yada, yada, yada.
All these very valid things she was feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah. So then this guy's like, all right, well, like, I want to be with you still. Like, go get your lick back and we'll be cool.
Eye for an eye, tit for tat.
Exactly.
Which is ridiculous because it already misses the point.
I agree.
Nonetheless, she agrees to it.
So she's like, all right, cool. I'm going to go get my lick back. Girl, that licked too good. Licking. She fucking fell in love, okay? Yeah. She got licked from head to toe, inside out, back to front, and was loving it to the point that, like, it's literally like Dallas is her man. Like, Dallas is a side thing, by the way.
Right.
So, like, she's out here oohing and eyeing and blushing, talking about Dallas makes me feel good. Not her telling her husband, Dallas cares about my needs. like literally pretty much saying Dallas can make me come and you can't. I could never have a partner tell me you don't make me come and somebody else does. Wow, that was brave. That was a gut punch. And I don't even think Asuelu clocked it. I know he did, but I don't think he, the amount of disrespect, I would feel like shit. And I don't think Asuelu felt like shit enough.
Well, because he doesn't care. He still doesn't care.
You're right, because he didn't get the point. He
only cares as far as it is like a bruise to his ego as a man.
Yeah.
Because he can't make her come.
Well, I guess apparently it seems as though he never cared about her pleasure.
I mean,
it was
fair.
more about him and him getting off, and her enjoyment was definitely backseat and secondary.
Right.
So she was trying to tell him in very gentle ways that this other guy puts me first and he puts my needs first, and you don't do that, and if you did that maybe things would be different. But long story short, my girl is done, yeah. Okay, because this most recent episode she saw this husband, because she blocked her hall pass. She's like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a fair chance, I'm gonna work on it. She's struggling through it, okay? Because this girl's crying, saying how she feels disgusted laying down with this man. I could never.
And also, at some point along this journey, it comes out that it was not just a single blowjob in some bathroom.
Yes.
It's been a ongoing thing from the foundation of the relationship.
Yes.
Literally, girls carrying their child.
So this girl spilled the whole fucking whole teapot, okay? To say that this man not only cheated on her that one time that came out, which kind of prompted them to come here, but throughout the relationship, while she was pregnant, almost, I don't want to say any chance that he got, but apparently she said he cheated at least 10 to 12 times, which, what?
It's a lot of hall passes.
Oh,
that's a lot of halls you can go through now.
Right, wild, okay?
Just give her the master key.
It's giving superintendent.
Yeah.
So that came out, and how she just felt like this relationship makes her feel like shit, and you feel so bad for her.
Yeah.
So she tells one of the other girls that even throughout all of this, there was a night where it seemed like he was being slick on his phone, holding his phone in a way to block her from seeing it. It looked like he was deleting messages, just essentially acting suspicious. And the suspiciousness triggered her. So she unblocked her side ting, and the side ting apparently flew out to the resort to go link up with her, and she linked up with him.
I wonder if he did it, and I wonder if the producers helped.
The producers fucking financed that shit.
I wonder.
If they did it, I would actually be shocked and gay.
If there's one thing I know producers love almost as much as they love mess, it's saving money.
Put it this way, that is true, but I can probably got him a $25 ticket on Spirit Airlines. It was come true, bro. Come true.
Delivered them via Express UPS.
Use Angela's room and just stay there.
Yeah, because she got kicked out too.
Yeah, for acting like a hot mess. So she went. I don't want to say she hooked up with the man, but it's implied that she did. But she stayed.
She went and had a date with him.
She spent the night.
Right. Okay.
She spent the night and then had breakfast in the morning with him, and the husband didn't know. And he realized, I guess, in the day that she wasn't at the resort, and he was texting her oh, where are you? She's like, oh, I'm having breakfast. And he's like, well, where are you having breakfast? And she left him a red. She didn't answer him. And so he's like, oh, I don't have a good feeling about this, which he was right. He was right. He shouldn't have a good feeling. But the girl's pretty much openly cheating on her husband at this point. And it's girl, just hang it up. Just hang it up. This relationship's gone, flatlined, dead in the water.
And it's
over.
It extra sucks because it's
they have kids.
And also she's so nice and she's trying so hard that even when this is coming out, she's still blocking her her side thing that she's so into to try and give the relationship she has an honest shot. And even then, the man is still being shady.
Bro, no, what gets me is looking back to their relationship and remembering when Azuelo's mother and Azuelo's sister was trying to fucking fight her. And she's out here having to defend herself against his family, who are essentially just like, give me money.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, you're out here fighting his dukes and his sister, and he's still out here looking for other punk? That is so disrespectful. Like, oh my gosh. If that was my friend, I'd actually be fighting. Like, are you dumb?
Yeah.
That's psychotic. Wow.
Yeah, like, but honestly though, like, speaking of other spin-offs we're excited for in the future, like, I definitely really, I like Yara and Jovi, most because I really like Yara.
I love Yara and Jovi. Actually, no, I'm lying. I like Yara. I like Yara. Full stop.
And I'm really excited for her future. I'm really excited for her future spinoff because
she deserves it.
I also feel like in this last episode, like, this might be the nail in the coffin.
Bro, okay. So Yara and Jovi, they are married. They have a child, and there was beef over essentially I don't want to call it beef. They had a disagreement. Okay, they weren't agreeing on things. At one point, Yara wanted to go back to Czech Republic. He wasn't comfortable, especially with the conflict happening nearby between Ukraine and Russia. So he was not okay with it. She was thinking of still buying an apartment to have an asset. He wasn't okay with it. He wanted her to have a second kid. She's like, honestly, between like how much time you're away and how much work it is raising a child, I'm not ready to have a second child.
Right.
And so that was like essentially their contention going into the resort to try and work on their relationship.
And I also think it's important to note that like she didn't want a child because like he's traveling all the time. She's stuck with her. She wants to do her own business.
Right. So for context, he travels for work at months at a time. So like essentially he'll be away for like 6 weeks, come back for 4, be away for 8 weeks, come back for 4, like whatever. Yeah. So, but the point is he's not consistently there. And
her feeling like tied down to the house and stuck in the house is like part of the problem here. She wants to strike on her own. That's also like the whole apartment in Ukraine thing kind of strikes out in that, because even though Jovi was uncomfortable because of the conflict, like she wanted to go because of the ramifications of the conflict.
Absolutely.
Right? So like definitely like disagreements here, but it always seems to come down to like she's always trying to kind of like take a step away.
Yeah, be a little more independent.
Be a little bit more independent. And even he's not giving that same energy. It's one thing to like coddle each other and be really stuck to each other and try to step away, but he's like an arm length away all the time.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
She's trying to like return that energy kind of, and he's like, no.
Yeah, he wants to do what he wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to be able to go out. He wants to be able to go to the strip club. He wants to go out clubbing and drink and do all of these things he used to do as a single man.
That Yara doesn't like him doing anymore.
Yeah, that she's not comfortable with, but doesn't want her or like her going out with her girlfriends, her doing her own thing, her having her own space and whatnot. It's very one-sided. But the big thing that came out between them, because it was a lot of the same back and forth, but the tea that came out, because I guess they were having a session, and one of the issues that came up was the fact that like it seems as though Jovi involves his mother in their conflicts, which I disagree. I don't like. It's one. I'm not gonna say that you should like keep everything under wraps, hush hush from your family, but you said it best earlier today. When you're always complaining about conflicts and problems that you're having with your partner or your spouse, all they're gonna see is that negative side. You know, usually most people don't always ham up all the positive things because it's associated with bragging and, you're showing off and this. So most people keep that close to their chest, but when they're upset, they want to vent.
And I think that goes doubly so when the person who's venting is honestly kind of thin-skinned like Jovi is. I
mean, he's thin-skinned, but I'm just saying also, like, when it's to your family, like your immediate family too, they're more likely going to take your side. Yeah. They're more because they're biased. Right. They know you, they like you, they're raised with you. Like, especially let's be honest. That's your mom, like your mama's boy. Like, of course she's gonna ride for you.
Like of course your parents could be in your back unless you're like some real kind of fuck up or dead ass wrong. Yeah. Like that's it. Like fair. If you're a decent person, like your parents gonna ride or die for you, and that's just what it is.
For sure.
Yeah. And even though Jovi's kind of sussy, I'll give it that he seems like a decent person or whatever.
Yeah, like he's not the worst. He's not the worst. He's not the worst, but he's not great either.
He's not great.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So it started off with that and addressing that issue because, again, he's pushing for Yara to have a second child, and she's like, I'm not trying to have a second child. Like, that is no. The answer is no. And so now with the mom getting involved, it's almost like, well, why won't you give my son what he wants? Why would you not have a second child? Yada, yada, yada. It came out during the resort this season that because Yara does not want to have a second child, she went on birth control and she never told her husband. I support the decision. And it's a hot take, some people might say, because, there's the whole, compromise and you should be transparent. And in some ways, I agree. But reproductive coercion is real. And I don't blame her for attempting to protect herself because I'm not going to lie, Jovi seems kind of like the guy I accidentally nut inside you, poke holes in the condom and get you pregnant kind of vibes.
I mean, yeah.
He gives baby trapping vibes.
And honestly, like he only in the future goes to prove that, to be honest,
Oh gosh. Like, yeah, he gives very like reproductive coercion is very, 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 very real. And so like I understand why she would go on birth control and not tell him. And to her defense, she felt horrible that she had to lie to him. It wasn't something she was proud of.
I was going to say, I'm going to double down on the hot take. And like, it's obviously a yellow flag to not be telling your partner. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I even disagree that like, this should be a thing you compromise on. If a person wants to take some kind of medication, it's not really your business, even if you're their partner. Unless we're talking about some kind of like drug addiction or something that's obviously self-destructive. Yeah. It's honestly not really his business.
I agree.
If she it's good to tell them, but it's not a decision you need to leave up to them either. It's something that you can just go, you should tell someone you're doing it, but it's not really their decision to make. If there's repercussions for you making a decision, that's different.
Right.
But like you're that's part of bodily autonomy. You can put whatever in your body, whatever you want to put in there.
Agreed. And so this two involved mama was trying to, essentially chide her for like, I can't believe you would take birth control and not tell your husband and not tell my son. Bro. Like, how could you do that? She's
doing the classic white mom guilt thing where it's like, you did something that is honestly kind of questionable, but to me, it's like you basically slapped baby Jesus to me. Yeah.
You're robbing me of my grandchildren.
Super overblown. Overreach. Like just trying to guilt you because whatever. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so because of this, Yara's like, you know what? We're talking about secrets? Okay, so let's talk about secrets. Why don't you tell them your secret? And it comes out that Jovi was offered a job that didn't require him traveling as much. So, like we said, he has a job where he travels out of the country, different states, different places for long periods of time, where he does not spend time with his wife and with his daughter. So and he was offered a position that was close to home, 9 to 5. He would be home every fucking day.
And again, just slight recap. This is like a major point of conflict for them. This is something they constantly return to.
Well, because one of the points that Yara made about her not wanting to have a second kid was having a child is a lot of work. You are already not here, and having 2 children with my husband not present to support me is very difficult. That was one of her major points.
Right.
So the fact that this man was offered an close to home office, 9 to 5, home every day job, and not only did he turn it down, he turned it down and did not tell her about the opportunity until after it was gone.
And the part that I hate the most is the reason why he says is he thought that would be best for the family. And I just hate it so much because it's so like, it's such a piece of shit move because like the whole point is you guys don't agree on what's best for the family. That's the whole point. Yeah. So how are you going to go now and say, oh, I already know what's best for the family, never bring it up when you know that this is something you guys don't agree on?
Like it's so wild, just like the lack of compromise. And
to tell yourself that like you're actually the good person for not doing it is just so fucking like
it's wild.
Blood boiling.
It's wild. And this is why I use the word reproductive coercion, because it's like he has her pregnant in the house to not go anywhere, and because she still manages to go places because she has one kid, she can leave it with the grandmother sometimes, or the babysitter occasionally. Yeah. It makes me feel like this is why he wants the second kid, because he really wants her fucking stuck at home.
Yeah,
she can't go out, she can't do anything. When Yara, after she had her first child, had so many like personal issues about her body and how she felt about herself, because she thought like after gaining weight from and then losing some of the weight from having the baby and the breastfeeding and stuff, she did not feel as confident as she did in her body. So it's like she didn't feel confident. She wanted to get stuff like, I don't know, like I think she wanted to get breast augmentation, and I think she ended up getting it.
Yes, she did.
But like she wanted her breast done, she wanted to feel better and confident about herself, and he was deterring her from doing all of that. At first, I remember.
Yeah.
So it's like he wants her to feel ugly, stuck at home, 2 babies on her hip, so that she can't go anywhere. That's literally what it gives me.
And like the crazy thing about it is like it's not even the subtext, it's the text. Like she's literally told him this.
Yeah.
And it's just wild to me that as a partner, you hear this and your response is like, yeah, fucking whatever.
Well,
how are you okay with just putting your partner in such a weird position that they don't like? Like that's what I don't. That's the thing that's wild to me.
Well, and here's the thing: the only small devil on my shoulder that's playing devil's advocate here is that like I can maybe only justify him making the decision against it if like this position was like half of his paycheck. Like, let's say she traveled, because usually people who have to travel for work make a decent income. Like, let's say something like, I don't know, like let's say he makes $80K traveling and doing what he does. I'm just assuming, maybe more, maybe less, I don't know. But let's say I can understand if that at-home job was like, oh, I'm at home, but I'm making like $45, $50.
See, this is where I still think it's ridiculous, because like, let's be real, Yara and Jovi, Yara has go buy your own apartment in Europe money.
I mean, that's true.
Like I can't fucking go do that shit.
Because she has her little business and her savings and stuff. So it's not even like she's not earning stuff. So fair.
So I'm just saying, like, even if you were like, hey, you're gonna have to slow down your career for a few years and take care of the fucking kids, you're rich enough to do that shit. And freeing up Yara from her hours could also give you extra income too. So it's just like, even like That's what I mean. Is
there's opportunities, is what you're trying to say.
I'm saying that like money isn't everything.
True.
And I think that Yara wants to have a partner who would see being able to stay at home and be with their children, not even help her, just be with their children.
Yeah.
Would be like such a plus and such a bonus that it would be worth a pay hit.
Fair.
You know, like, hey, straight up, like, I would take a pay hit to work from home and not work in an office.
I mean, yes. Depending on the job and depending on the pay. But
yeah, of course, yeah.
Yes, question mark. Yeah, for sure. Like, okay, I'll say it in reverse then. If it would take a substantial pay increase to my, as a job offer to get me to like leave my house and work,
right,
rather than stay at home and work. So in the same vein, you're absolutely 100% correct,
right.
But yeah, so that was, he did her so dirty with that.
Yeah,
he did her so dirty.
And honestly, like, I really hope, because like I said, I like Yara, and one of the things I like about Yara is that unlike a lot of people on this show, cloth hack Liz, she's got a fucking backbone, and I really hope this is like, either this dude is like going to counseling every week with her after this, or the relationship is dead. And I hope it's kind of the latter. Because like, honestly, Yara's kind of too good for Jovi.
She is. She's actually like genuinely out of her league. And that's probably why it gives me the whole barefoot and pregnant, bury her and kids so she can't get out and find somebody of a man of her worth. No shade, all tea, but
and just honestly, no one deserves to be with a partner who's gonna try to like extinguish you instead of trying to like, you know, build you up.
Agreed, absolutely. And like, I don't know, we obviously only see one facet of their relationship, so it's not even like we know them inside and out, and we're not pretending to. But I wholeheartedly agree with that whole.
I mean, I feel like given the context of what's been said and what's clear, like, obviously producers can manipulate and whatever.
Yeah, producer's going to produce.
But a producer also can't just pull something out of thin air either. Like, it almost seems like they can sometimes. Yeah. But they can't actually just, like, you know, make a multi-year long argument that's shown up over and over multiple shows.
For sure, that's genuine.
Like, given the fact that like he obviously knew that this was that she would want him to do this, and he obviously turned it down and didn't tell her because he wanted to just avoid it and do what he wanted, which is selfish, which is abandon her, which is again a thing that has made her like seriously like hurt her mental health. Like, it's not even just like oh, you felt bad, like you hurt her,
right?
And you're just kind of like,
nah. He doesn't even realize that. Honestly, he's so emotionally immature that is just like, it's so embarrassing.
Yeah, honestly, it just gives that he still wants to be unmolested while going to the strip club with his fucking bros. And he knows the only way he can do that is if he keeps on taking boys' trips down to Europe.
I mean, fair. Like, it's so embarrassing.
Like, honestly, that's probably part of the reason why he also didn't want her to have an apartment over in Europe, because it could be like, oh,
she can pop up.
Yeah, you're on a boys' trip? Yeah, I'll come down.
She can pop up.
Why wouldn't you want to see your wife?
I mean,
it's because you got a stripper's ass in your face.
Fair. But.
And if you're into that, but Yara's not.
Yeah, fair.
If you're a couple, that's fine with that, whatever, I don't judge you. But just Yara's definitely not.
I was going to say, I want to touch on Kelly and Molly just a little bit. Just because I want to say their situation is sad, but I truly feel like Kelly dodged a bullet. So, Kelly was a former police chief, and he had married this woman, Molly, a couple seasons ago, I think. I don't know, after they had gotten married and been together or whatnot, shit just fell apart. And I keep saying, like, because she keeps saying, oh, he's not the man that I used to be with. He's not the man that da-da-da-da-da-da. And a lot of other accusations have come out about Molly. I'm not even talking about that because that's wild. But it low-key supports what I'm about to say. Molly's energy, like, especially when you describe, like, where Kelly came from and what he wanted to do when he was with her, she gives very power-hungry vibes. Like, it gives you actually married this man because he was a police chief and because you wanted to say that you're a police chief's wife. It's giving like low-key Karen energy.
Yeah.
You know, it gave very much like, I can do whatever I want because my husband's a police chief.
It gives you already go into restaurants and say, do you know who I am? But now you have a way to back that up.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. Because she always brings up the fact that he retired. And it's like, why should that matter? Like, if he's retired and he moved states to be with you and to spend time with you and to, like, wouldn't you want your partner to be able to spend time with you and it still doesn't affect, like, your livelihoods? Like, usually that's what retirement does.
Yeah, and honestly, like, let's also be real about this situation. Like, this is a black man who's a cop.
Yeah.
And, like, I can't remember where I heard it, but it was somebody saying, like, oh, you know, because they're talking about, I was listening to something, they're talking about how, like, police officers actually aren't, like, legally obligated to intervene if they see you, like, being the victim of a crime. Even, like, a violent crime, right? Like, they don't have to put themselves in danger. They're not legally obligated to do that.
Okay.
And they're, like, and if you're, like, yeah, you know, nobody should have to do that, that means you're, like, you're a that's a police abolitionist position. That's you say that, like, yeah, we can't really have cops then, because, like, that's their job.
I mean, fair.
And, like, it is also true as, like, you know, I think that there is something about going around and your job is hurting people, and being a police officer is in part your job is going around and hurting people. I think that does into your fucking soul. And I think that that does unsettle people on, like, a mental level. And I do think it can be traumatizing to be a police officer.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, so I also think it's, like, doubly so. Like, okay, yeah, sure, you might have wanted to marry, like, to marry a police chief, but if that dude wanted to retire and he needed to retire, I don't blame him for retiring. That's a weird position. Police officer is a weird position to be in. You know what I mean? I don't blame him for, like, if the guy needed to retire early, he needed to exit, then yeah, like, then he needed to.
No, and I agree. I definitely agree. But what I'm trying to say is, especially because there's been a lot of accusations of this Molly person being, like, physically violent with people and, like, physically harming and attacking people and previous partners. So it's giving, like, you saw him as an out.
Right.
By this person having this particular position, especially it's not even like he's like a beat cop, you know, like parking ticket kind of cop.
Yeah,
or mall cop. He's like a chief. Or
she made the very real assessment that if you married into the police, like, yeah, it gives you certain protections. Like, they're not gonna
for sure. And I feel like that's like it felt like once he exited and relinquished that position of power, she just didn't have love for him anymore. Yeah. She just didn't want to be with him. And so they were on this 90 days resort, and she wasn't even trying. Like, there was zero, nothing, no energy, no vibes, nothing from her. And I felt so bad for him because he actually wanted to give it an honest try. And it showed like he actually loved her. And it's so sad when you see somebody who's clearly being used and when they're just, I'm done, like when they're essentially being disposed of.
Yeah.
It's just so sad and hurtful because I think at one point she just pretty much flat out said like she doesn't love him anymore. And it's like, did you not love him or loved his job? Loved his position?
Yeah, and what hurts so bad about those kind of things is it really like drills down to the core. Like, it really throws down like everything in the past into question.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And so that's why I was just like, it kind of gave me like bombastic side eye. Like, oh, you're gross. So he took his whole dignity and he's like, fuck you then, I'm off this. And he left.
Yeah. And
so she had to leave by default. So I'm very, I'm happy for him, and I hope he, ends up finding somebody who can make him happy, and that, he enjoys his retirement from such horrible, horrible work.
Right.
But yeah, like those were, I guess, the ones that really kind of like stood out to me. I refuse to talk about Big Ed and stupid ass Liz.
Yeah,
and
honestly, same thing.
About friggin' Angela and her iPad.
Yeah,
that's stupid.
Those two are just like treadmill. They're just stuck where they're at, and it just feels like the same thing.
Well, yeah, and they're also like low key. Well, maybe not Liz as much, but like abusers and enablers. So like that's its whole episode. We already did an episode about them called Narcissus. We already know that game, so whatever. Yeah. I'm not giving them no air.
Yeah.
But that being said, that was 90 Day Resort. I think there's like a recap episode or something, like a tell-all or whatnot.
Oh, yeah, that could be a good mess.
I'm pretty sure there's a tell-all. If there is, I'm probably gonna watch it.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it.
Just to get all the recaps. I want to see what this Dallas guy looks like.
Yeah, the greatest hits.
That's the thing. I want to see Kalani side man. I want to see what he looks like.
And they have some kind of like conversation from like around the corner of a security camera of somebody saying some hot shit that they're gonna drop in the middle of the tell-all because the producers are messy like that. 100%.
Yep. So
they had him full of liquor. They had him so full of liquor every night. They literally were carting them to a different hotel just so they could have them all in the same spot up on liquor.
Ridiculous. But yeah. So with that being said, thank you for another week. Will you watch 90 Day Fiance? Won't you? I don't know. You tell us. But if you do actually have situations similar to these, let us know because, like I said, we still have part 2 of tea. This is just lightly scratching the surface. We haven't even dove in yet. But with that being said, thank you for joining us for another week, hearing us rant and ramble. Make sure to follow our Instagram page if you are not following at This Black Girl Podcast. If you want to follow me personally, you can follow me at ola.miss.lola without the H or the Mr. at Pretentiously Crass on Instagram. But with that being said, have a wonderful week and we will talk to you soon. Bye.